Today we're going to take a look at the PlayStation Portal. Let's get to it. The PlayStation Portal is a specialized handheld gaming device made specifically for streaming games from a PlayStation 5. It has an 8-inch display, a 4300 mAh battery, and weighs in at 529 grams. A couple of items worth calling out. The LCD display runs at 1080p at 60 frames per second. It supports PlayStation Link connectivity, and the DualSense controller has haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. You might be wondering why we're not talking about the CPU or storage or RAM or anything like that. And that's because, for the most part, it doesn't really matter. The PlayStation Portal has a very specific purpose. It's a device to stream games from your PS5 console over Wi-Fi. That's it. You don't install games through the Portal itself. It's simply an extension or second screen to your PlayStation 5. First off, let's talk about the OOBE. For folks who are unfamiliar with what an OOBE is, it's the out-of-box experience you have from the time you take the device out of its packaging, up to the point where you can actually use the device for its core purpose or for what it was advertised as. The out-of-box experience for the PlayStation Portal is fairly basic. Along with the device itself, you get a USB-C cable and an instruction manual. Setup was pretty straightforward. We turned the device on, connected it to Wi-Fi, and once it was online, it found a firmware update. The update took about 10 minutes, and after that we logged into our PSN account and it found our PS5. There was a little guide for how to use things, and that was that. The first thing we noticed when we picked up the PlayStation Portal is how familiar it felt. If you're used to holding a DualSense controller, then you'll instantly be at home here. The screen does throw the balance off just a tiny bit, but otherwise it's just like holding a controller. And on that note, the button spacing and feedback all feel like a proper DualSense as well. The thumbsticks and triggers are slightly smaller than an actual DualSense, but the difference is so minimal that you might not even notice. While the end result of a controller being split in half and then molded onto a tablet might look a bit weird, I have to say it's very refreshing to hold a handheld gaming device that has proper button layout and thumb travel distance. The LCD screen is actually really nice. It's easily on par with the ROG Ally and Steam Deck, though not a Steam Deck OLED of course. Man, it looks better than another similar device, the Logitech G Cloud. It really is impressive just how good some things look on this screen. The speakers are located along the top of the Portal, and they sound good for a handheld, but not as good as a Steam Deck or Switch for our tastes. There's a headphone jack along the bottom back ridge, but oddly there's no Bluetooth support. The Portal uses a proprietary wireless audio technology called PlayStation Link, and at the time we made this video, the only devices that we know of that use said technology are Sony's Pulse headphones, which aren't available yet, and won't be for a month or two until after this video goes live, depending on the set you're looking at. The other buttons along the top are Power, a device connect button for those special headphones, and volume control buttons. They're all fairly easy to reach, but aren't within finger's reach without taking a palm off the controller. Before we move on, I want to call out that there is a workaround for the Bluetooth headphone problem. I have a Bluetooth transmitter for my old Nintendo Switch that I wasn't using. At first it wouldn't fit in the Portal, but I popped off the cover on the side where the 3.5mm post is, and that did the trick. I powered the transmitter up and paired it with my Surface headphones, and just like that it worked. Through the most unholy of alliances, I've paired a Nintendo adapter with Microsoft headphones and now have wireless audio in this Sony device. In theory, this should work with most any Bluetooth transmitter. They can be finicky about pairing with some headphones and earbuds, so it's hard to point you to exactly what you should buy if you want to do this, but we'll update in the description below if we come across anything. Let's take a look at the software experience. You're going to have your PS5's Remote Play enabled to use the Portal, and you're going to want to have your PS5's Rest Mode features turned on as well. To turn on Remote Play, go to Settings, System, Remote Play, and toggle the Remote Play switch. For Rest Mode, go to Settings, System, Power Saving, Features Available in Rest Mode, and toggle Stay Connected to the Internet and Enable Turning on PS5 from Network. As long as your PS5 is in rest mode, all you have to do from here on out is turn on the Portal and press the physical or on-screen PS button. In our experience, if the PS5 was on and awake, it took about 5 seconds to connect. And if it was in rest mode, then it took anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. The primary software experience is essentially your PS5 itself. You can do most things game related, like playing them, downloading and installing them, but you're limited to games, no media streaming through the Portal. The Portal does have a few custom settings on the device itself that you can get to by swiping down from the top right corner of the screen. This brings up a flyout menu that gives you quick access to console and headset connection settings, brightness, airplane mode, and an option to bring up more settings. Pressing the settings button here takes you to some extended options for network, system, display and brightness, and controller. Network lets you adjust existing or set up a new network connection. Display and brightness gives you a couple more brightness options, but no auto brightness option like we often see on screens like this. Controller lets you tweak the vibration and haptic intensity or turn them off entirely. System has some standard system settings and is where you'll go to check for updates or reset the Portal. We have a fast, stable network setup here at Overload headquarters, and as a result, streaming on the PlayStation Portal was great. We ran the Portal through a range of typical PlayStation experiences, from playing games to browsing the store to installing games to the console. Every game we tried played fine. We played Conan Exiles, God of War, No Man's Sky, Ratchet & Clank, Journey, Ghost of Tsushima, and a few others as well. Everything was great. The multiplayer that we tested, like No Man's Sky and Conan Exiles, was fine, but we didn't do any competitive multiplayer like Call of Duty. There is a tiny bit of latency, but unless you're doing competitive multiplayer, you're probably not going to notice it. We took it out to the edges of the Wi-Fi connection and did see some packet loss and compression issues, and eventually a disconnect, even though we showed 3 bars of signal strength. But 3 bars. The Portal supports streaming from any Wi-Fi network, not just in-home, so you can take it out and about, and as long as you have access to at least a 15 megabit connection, you should be able to play. Just know that there's no web interface. So if you're at a hotel or coffee shop that requires web page authentication, you're out of luck. We decided to compare the PlayStation Portal to other PlayStation streaming options. While you can install the PlayStation app on your phone or an Android handheld device, your mileage is going to vary there with controller support, display, and stream quality. In our experience, we had the best success there when using a third-party app called PS Play that we had to pay $4 for, because the official PlayStation app didn't detect the controller on several of our devices, but the third-party app did. Even then, not everything was seamless. We experienced video compression on the other devices a bit more than we did on the Portal itself, and nothing we tested was as satisfying as the Portal overall. The phone screen looks great, but compared to the Portal or even G-Cloud, it's a bit too small in some scenarios. The G-Cloud's big screen was better to play on, but wasn't nearly as vibrant as the Portal. And neither of these keep up in the controller department. The G-Cloud has decent controllers overall, but they don't have the same easy thumb travel as the Portal. Same goes for phone controller add-ons. Both the Kishi and the Backbone also have the added issue of not working if you have a case on your phone. Depending on the case, this may or may not be trivial. I have a Samsung leather cover on my S22, and taking it off is absolutely not trivial. Look at the reviews. Battery life is impressive. We ran at 80% brightness most of the time and left vibration settings at default values. We averaged about 5 hours of playtime over multiple play sessions. Good battery life wasn't too surprising since the heavy lifting is being done on the console itself, but this is a large screen, and this is essentially a full controller with RGB lights, so it was nice to see the battery life exceed our expectations. So what's missing from the PlayStation Portal? Depending on your expectations of what you wanted the Portal to be, the answer is either a lot or Bluetooth and basic web access. Having said that, this device is literally designed to do one thing: stream your PS5 experience to this second screen, and from that angle, it's really only missing Bluetooth and basic web access. I'm not thrilled at the prospect of having to pick up a separate pair of headphones for this thing if I want wireless audio. And web access is likely going to be an issue if you take the Portal out and about, because a good number of public and hotel access points use web-based authentication, and that's not something you can do on the Portal. The Portal is entirely dependent on the strength and stability of your Wi-Fi connection. If you already do in-home game streaming from your consoles to handheld devices, and that experience is fine, then you'll be okay here. It's games only on the Portal, no other media streaming from your PS5. The virtual touchpad is a tad fidgety. It sometimes didn't pick up our double taps. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on the PlayStation Portal? I went into this review thinking that it seemed like an unnecessary addition to the PlayStation lineup, and came out the other end impressed with what Sony has put together here. This is a very specific device for a very specific audience, and for that audience, the Portal does what it set out to do very well. The narrow focus works to its advantage. Since the device only connects to a PS5, there's not a lot of overhead and maintenance. It's a very simplified experience that's focused on getting you to your games. There's other solutions out there, but they all come with caveats. They might be cheaper, or they might come on more versatile devices, but none of them look quite as good as this 8-inch screen and feel quite as good as holding a real DualSense controller all in one package. Most of those other solutions have other apps running with notifications and updates to maintain, and those distractions simply don't exist in the PlayStation Portal experience. At launch, the Portal is $199. Given the current price of DualSense controllers and 8-inch tablets that can run at 1080p, this price isn't all that crazy, though I'd like to see it closer to $150. If you own a PS5 and use it a lot and share a TV, I'd recommend a PlayStation Portal. It's as close as you can get to holding a PlayStation 5 in the palm of your hands. Are you going to pick one up or are you going to pass? Let us know in the comments. And that about wraps things up. Please like this video if you found it useful, and subscribe to our channel if you want more content like this. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and we'll chat again soon.